If you guys could, you go to the high school, right? You're going to the high school, Stephanie? If you,
Am I going to high school?
People from the Portchester Middle School.
For any
oh,
of
I
the
don't think that would
events or
help. You
anything?
think that
or-
they don't, yeah, no.
Yeah.
You would have to ask them if they're Rybrook.
Only when I have to pick up my kid, she's like, oh, I forgot my sneakers.
Well, I'll be getting I'll be getting
Which
signatures that
happens
way as well.
once a week.
I'll be getting signatures that way, like
Really?
when I go to pick up, my kids at friends' houses.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much.
Hi, Fred.
And Jason.
10 seconds, thank you.
I actually
Okay.
screenshot.
Jason,
I'm sorry, I'm going
thank
to
you
start a
again for
collection
working
of
so hard on
screenshots
it.
of her text to me.
No,
Can you come get me? I forgot my
Orange
sneakers and I
flavored
have
green
gin.
tea.
Okay.
I don't put any sugar in it.
Well, I like stevia.
Wait, you want to see
I
what I saw
usually will
today
put honey in my
Honey.
glass.
on the hutch?
Right.
Can you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and good evening. Tonight is Tuesday, January 9th. It's about 7:37 or so, according to that clock. 7:38. We just came from executive session where we discussed quite a few things, including school resource officer agreement. I clearly did not get the memo tonight, where apparently it's sweater night at Village Hall. Had I known, I would have worn a sweater as
I
well.
would like to make a motion that every night should be Saturday night.
I don't know about July.
I'm wearing a
Also, this
jacket.
is our storm gear. This is our storm central.
This is how we're dressed as we are prepared for a storm. And actually, before we begin, I do want to thank our highway crew who has been out preparing for this storm. We've been clearing storm drains, getting everything ready, and also for our police and fire who are on call during the night. Hopefully we don't get hit badly, but we want to thank everyone who's been out there and will be out there keeping our residents safe.
I must tell you, I was in the city this weekend, nothing. I'm driving on Sunday night up the hutch. No snow, no snow, no snow, no snow, no snow. I get off exit 18, I'm in Siberia.
We're at another, it is
Right where it
I
starts.
It's a
don't
mountain.
understand who we ticked off. But we ticked off somebody that we got started. There was not one flake on the ground all the way up the hutch.
It's until you get to Rybrook, but I would say that even during that storm, it may have been all over the place. It was not on the roads. The roads in Rybrook were in great shape. All right, so moving into our meeting, we are going to start with resolution number 1, considering a request for an exemption extension of Chapter 158, Section 2.1 of the Village Code regarding a seasonal leaf blower ban for George Comfort and Sons.
Whereas on April 11th of 2023, the Board of Trustees approved a local law enacting a seasonal gas-powered leaf blower ban from May 1st through September 30th, effective May 1st of this year. And whereas, in accordance with the Village Code, properties with at least 5 acres of property can apply to the Village Board for a full or partial extension or exemption of the local law. And whereas an application has been distributed to eligible properties in the Village of Rybrook and also placed on its website. And whereas as of on December 11th, 2023, representatives of George Comfort and Sons submitted an application for exemption from the requirements of the local law requiring a seasonal ban on gas-powered leaf blowers at 900 and 1100 King Street properties. Now, therefore, be it resolved that after consideration of the intent of the local law as well as the considerations raised in the application from George Comfort and Sons, the Village of Rybrook Board of Trustees hereby either denies, approves, or approves with conditions the request for an extension or exemption of the Village Code enacting the seasonal leaf blower ban.
Thank you, Chris, and we'll hold off on the motion second until we figure this one out. I believe we have a representative from Plata Landscaping here. If you could please introduce yourself. Let us know your thoughts.
My name is Matthew DeFabio. I'm a manager at Plata Landscaping, and thank you for taking the time to hear me today. We do maintain the properties at 900 and 1100 King Street, and not only are we responsible for keeping the property clean and looking pretty, but we're also responsible for keeping the property safe for all the tenants and the people who constantly visit those locations. There's 6 buildings on the property. It's a very large property. It's pretty far away from any residential areas. And with implementing this blower ban, we will not be able to efficiently take care of the property. As we know, the battery-powered blowers are not as strong, they don't last as long, and they're much more expensive than using the gas-powered blowers. So in order for us to maintain safety for the tenants, and it does bring health concerns if the place is not properly kept and not properly clean. You can attract rodents and things like that to the property if it's not done properly. And then also, we're just looking in the best interests of our customer to try to keep the cost down. The battery blowers do cost a lot more money than the gas-powered blowers, and it takes a longer time for us to maintain the property if we do go the route of using the battery-powered blowers. So it will increase the cost significantly for our customer. So if you could give us an exemption, or if we can work to some sort of agreement to help us better provide a service to our customer, that would be greatly appreciated.
A couple of quick questions. One, are you using any electric leaf blowers or none at all?
We do use electric leaf blowers when we can, especially around the buildings, but sometimes when there's wet weather, or if it's a drought, the leaves on the trees, they come down early, or they'll come down during the summer if there's a drought. So when it is wet conditions, or if there's excess amount of debris around, it would just take us longer, and it'd be more difficult to clean the property.
All right. And are you just blowing the hardscapes there? I mean, and I know during the leaf season you're probably blowing everything off of the. But I mean, are you, after you're mowing the lawn areas, are you blowing trimmings, or you just?
Well, so the lawn areas, they're usually mulched with the lawnmowers, so that's not really a concern, but it's mostly the walkways and the parking lots that are the concern, because that's where the people are walking, that's where people park their cars to try to get to the building. So we do minimal around on the lawn areas,
Right.
but where the people will be walking, it's a big concern, especially if it's wet outside.
Gotcha.
Just to remind you, the leaf season, it's allowed. So in other words, during the leaf season, you can blow the leaves, you can clear off the parking lot. So we're talking about the time frame between May 1st and September 30th. And so what type of stuff? Maybe you could describe a little about what's on the parking lots that you're clearing off.
Yeah, so when there is a drought, if we have an extended period of no raining, the trees will drop their leaves significantly too, depending on the type of tree it is. So that can become an issue during that time slot. As you guys, I don't know if you remember or not, but this past fall, all the leaves dropped really early. They actually started dropping the end of September. So it became a little bit of a nuisance for us. And then not to mention any of the garbage, debris left behind by people going there, blowing from trash cans and stuff like that. So in order to keep the place tidy and safe, and if there is a lot of buildup of leaves around the buildings, you can attract rodents, which is a big health concern.
Questions?
No, I was just wondering how much of this work is being done at 900.
At 900, it's also at 900, maybe not as much, but 111 is the biggest concern.
Yeah, that's what I would have assumed.
You're not, are you responsible for the Sun Homes property or just the road leading to it?
Just the road leading to it. It ends, I guess, the center island that's there. It ends right at the center island.
Yeah, there's no, okay.
Right. Nothing inside the.
Nothing.
Nothing inside there. They're probably
We've
they're
had
probably
other
private.
people say that they are moving towards it and would go low throttle.
Right. Yeah, we do have. I mean, this is. I mean, one of the things it says in our backup materials is that they're now our 10th application that we've seen, and you know, a lot of and really, you know, the going trend in this municipality and others is starting to move towards electric. You know, and so I think, you know, I can't say anything, you know, personally, and I can't speak for the rest of the board. Personally, I'm inclined to approve a 1-year extension, or exemption, that is, for this, you know, for this property. and which is typically what we've been doing, unless someone's been making major strides towards moving towards electric. And I would say that if we do grant this exemption, I think it would behoove you to start moving towards that, especially on the hardscapes around the buildings, because I think a year from now, it may be a different scenario when a lot of the other applicants are coming in and saying, well, we've really started to move towards electric. Because that is happening in a lot of other municipalities around here. So, I think it really is the trend. And we understand that technology takes a little while to catch up. We feel that it is, especially if you're talking about minimal grass clippings and leaves around hardscapes in the middle of summer. We understand that if there's a significant windstorm during a drought, leaves are going to fall. There may be a need for some of those gas-powered leaf blowers. But I think, for most of what's being done, especially like you said, around the buildings, hardscapes, you can get a lot done with the electric there.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, this initial request for an exemption, I can feel some sympathy for, but a year from now, when you've had a year to start preparing for what the new law says, I'm going to have much less sympathy.
I would like to see the technology actually improve. It is a good thing moving forward, but I don't think the technology has caught up yet. I think it will take some time to get there. And by all means, once those electric blowers become as powerful as the gas-powered blowers, I would be all for it. I'd be first in line. And, we do have electric blowers, so it's not something that we're not familiar with. We do deal with it in other towns, but on a larger scale property is when it becomes a problem.
My
Because they
suggestion is, as you buy new blowers, make sure they're electric.
Yeah, except for the fall. Because you cannot do a
I
fall
understand.
cleanup.
I'm merely
with-
saying a year
yeah.
from now, you will not have as much sympathy from me as you have now.
What other towns are you servicing currently?
We service a lot of Westchester, so we're familiar with the Bannon, Pleasantville, Chappaqua.
And how are you handling those towns?
We don't have large properties like these properties here in Rybrook, in those towns, so we can get away with it. It's not easy, but
Yeah.
we
Oh,
do
yeah.
the best we can with what we can. And obviously, I understand the time period, which is fine, and it works with us a lot. But on these bigger properties, in order to have these machines run like we need them to run, they just don't have the longevity on the batteries. And even if you have interchangeable batteries, it's very difficult when you're running out of a truck, because you have to run a generator in order to charge the batteries. And to have those batteries as backup, believe it or not, the batteries cost just as much, if not more, than the machine. So,
Out of curiosity, about how much time do you think you spend at 1100 King, and how often?
it takes us about 2 to 3 days to do, depending on weather.
Full day, so you're there during the day.
Maintain, not blowing the whole time.
Right,
But,
mowing.
Yeah, mowing, trimming, maintenance, beautifying, mulch, flowers, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah. Again, I think we probably we'll put in I think 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're
Right,
on.
with I think we have to send out reminder letters to everybody.
Yeah, I think so. I think you'll probably now reading the board, I'd say you probably get a 1 year exemption, and I would say it would be in your best benefit to make strides towards getting more electric, or at least committing to more electric use during that off season, during that May through September season, if you're gonna go for another exemption next year.
We also had other people commit to lower throttle.
Yeah, we that's true. We have had some.
Okay, we had it with a
say
lot
that they'll
of
go
them.
lower throttle in certain areas, or commit to electric use or in the hardscapes around the buildings. So
I would love to use electric when I can, but there are times within that period that I may need to use the gas powered. But we can definitely do it at a lower throttle to keep the noise down. I guess.
Right, that's the idea.
reason.
The
Yeah.
idea was to keep
And
for
keep
noise
emissions
pollution and
down.
emissions.
yeah.
Okay.
Great.
All right, so can I get a motion second for a 1-year exemption, please?
So move with what he said, though.
With adding, you're okay with us adding in to the resolution that we're gonna,
Except for when it like rains is the biggest concern
Right.
because everything gets heavy, so we may
Right,
have to use it.
understandable.
Right.
Yeah,
yeah.
but for the most part,
How would we
yes,
word that?
we can low throttle.
Weather
I look
dependent,
over to Chris.
weather
Ralph.
dependent.
I mean, listen, we know that there's going to be some good faith in some of that as well,
Yeah.
the throttling. But I think what we're doing is we're just reading the last sentence. It's just last paragraph. It's just, now therefore be resolved after consideration of the intent of the law and the application from George Comfort and Sons. The Board of Trustees hereby approves with conditions the request for an exemption of the village code enacting the leaf blower ban, and be further resolved that the condition is that it's a 1 year. It's an exemption for 1 year, and that they shall be operated on lower throttle.
Periodically.
I'll just say low throttle. It's the intent.
Okay.
Sound
With
good?
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay. So can I have a motion and a second, please?
So move?
Second.
Yes.
Give me a second. Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Fisher?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
I think I'm going to go slow on this. Yes.
And Mayor Klein?
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Have a good night.
All right, resolution number 2, considering the installation of EV chargers at Village Hall and Garibaldi parking lot.
Okay. Whereas Westchester County is coordinating the installation of Flow Core Level 2 electric vehicle chargers available to the public on municipal properties through an awarded contract with Sourcewell. And whereas INF Associates is a turnkey energy solutions company that is coordinating the scope of work for the installation of these chargers with the municipalities in the county. And whereas INF Associates has submitted an electric vehicle charging proposal, and I'm just going to modify what is recommended, which is 4 dual park charging stations, 8 ports total at Village Hall. And they've also submitted a proposal for 2 dual port charging stations, 4 ports total at Garibaldi, the Garibaldi Municipal Lot off Garibaldi Place. And whereas due to various incentive rebates, tax credits, and grants available, the result is no cost to the participating municipality for the installation of the chargers recommended in the proposals. And whereas the village board will be able to determine any fees for the public use of these chargers, now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the existing proposals for the installation of Flow Core Level 2 electric vehicle chargers at the Village Hall parking lot at 938 King Street and the Garibaldi Park Municipal Lot off Garibaldi Place. And be it further resolved, the mayor and administrator are authorized to sign any applications or documents as may be modified by council that are necessary or appropriate to enact the purposes of this resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
So move?
Second.
All right, Chris, a little background, please?
Yeah, so we've been spending a lot of time, and we're down to the deadline, which has to be submitted by Friday. It's been a
didn't realize
lot
it
of
was
back
that
and...
I didn't realize it was that close.
Yeah. So, the board had asked us to review some of the, level 2 versus level 3 chargers
Right.
and some of the costs. So, it's taken them a long time to get the proposals and the price and to go back and forth. So what we're recommending is at Village, so turns out the level 3s are just cost prohibitive, it'd just be too much. And you see, we've given up some spreadsheets showing
Yeah, I
some of the
did see
costs,
that.
which is pretty considerable. And this is not budgeted money either. And in researching it, everybody's recommending that level 2s is pretty the standard out there for everyone because most people are going and topping off. They're not spending the time to do it. They have them at their houses. They're doing the overnights, and it's really about just topping off at the locations. The proposal, as proposed to the board now, the level 2 chargers to have 4 dual port chargers at Village Hall, which is 8 ports total, and 2 dual port chargers down at the Garibaldi parking lot, which is 4 ports total. There's no cost, and it's combining of various rebates plus a county incentive. And that'll allow us to get these in place, have infrastructure in place. It includes the installation. And then the village board will have the authority to charge whatever rate you find appropriate for the use of those chargers. Some municipalities do nothing. Some municipalities charge extra, and it's all something that the board can decide at a later date.
Are the L3s the high-speed chargers?
Yes. Yeah.
So the issue is, I understand it's gonna cost us more, so it's not worth it, et cetera, but is it possible to make sure that at some point there may be a way to, upgrade?
We did try that too. We tried.
the
like-
service. So
We
you're
did try
talking
doing it. We tried saying, "Well, can you lay the infrastructure for it?" And they couldn't. They were giving us some of the costs we were getting it was astronomical. I mean, that's what we're looking at here. That's what we were trying to do. I mean, you see
Just
the.
don't understand. It's like, it's counterintuitive.
I guess you know, and who knows what the technology will be too down
Right.
the road.
Right.
You know,
Right,
so
it's all about the electrical,
it's
isn't
something
it?
completely different, right? Yeah,
could
it's the size of the electrical. It's the size. What happens is you start to get into a period where you have to do the panel upgrades, right, Michael? And Michael, if you want to come up and kind of speak more, Michael could speak more to the power part of it.
Right, instead of just simply
We tried to
taking off
also.
of a
We also
power
looked at
source.
Pine Ridge
Okay.
Park, and we looked at the highway garage, and both the highway garage would have been a whole other upgrade on power, and Pine Ridge Park, the run. We ran into this last time too. The run's just too
Yeah,
long,
it's too long.
and you couldn't
You
do
have
it.
to do
You
it
could.
by the street, and you can't do it at the street.
It'd be tough, yeah.
Right.
So, and it would cost you a lot to run it all the way into the parking lot.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So at the moment, we explored the hope of putting in the level of threes, but as mentioned, the costs were just astronomical. And the issue comes in that we currently have 250 amps of available power in our panel. So without upgrading the entire switch gear, which would be upwards of $5,000 to $10,000 just for the switch itself, plus the labor, plus the increase in component costs for the level 3 chargers. I believe the component cost was like $20-something thousand upgrade. I think in there.
We're talking about a couple $100,000 here. This is
Yeah. So we're looking at about a $50,000 cost per unit just for the level 3s alone, not even including infrastructure upgrades. And the thought behind that was that, thank you, that how many persons actually come here and are going to be topping off from 18%, 25% to go to 100 to carry on in their journey, because we asked that same question, does it make sense? And the consensus was that it doesn't make sense because, A, there's a bunch of L3 chargers just a quarter mile up the road, which is fine, but for the purposes of the building, people aren't necessarily coming here to do that high-speed charge. The technology's changing, the batteries are changing as time goes on, so level 3 chargers may not be the best choice. And to run that wiring right now, they cannot do under the grant proposal because L3 chargers are not part
Covered.
of the grant, so they're not covered. So to shell out that money,
No, I
it-
concur.
yeah,
some of the
it really-
rebates were available, but not all of them, and that's why you see some of the costs that are there. They range from each location from 68 to 138, or on the option B. So,
Crazy.
yeah, it's crazy. So they said the people you'd be getting to that would mostly be people coming off the highway, and most of them probably wouldn't do that because they'd just stop at the rest area, and do it there.
The rest area on the hutch just north of us, those are the L3 chargers?
Yes.
Those are level 3s.
Yeah, because people
And
doing
are they
that
building Summit Mobile, the ones that they're redoing at 25?
I don't know.
Possibly, I don't know.
But you'd be getting, and that's what they're saying is probably the more common users of that would be the people traveling on highways.
Yeah.
So we did try to look at it, but this will get us the infrastructure and allow us to get it in place, and there's no cost to the village, and we'd have basically 8 ports here and 4 ports down at Garibaldi.
Right,
Okay.
at no cost, which is phenomenal, and
Yeah.
that's great. My only concern is, are we going to be limiting those spots to?
We talked it out. They have to be available to the public, but they don't have to be exclusive to EV users.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm just thinking, on nights like this where there's a huge crowd in the audience.
So it's a board policy question, but you just the only requirement is that they have to be available to the public. So in other words, you can't say this is only for employees, that kind of thing. So as long as they're available, they do not have to be exclusive. That's a board choice.
Okay. Okay, so we may determine that there's certain times when we
You could.
do that, and certain times.
Maybe see if it's a problem. Maybe just let it go and see if there's,
Right,
yeah.
see if it's an
If
issue,
people
see if it
say, like,
becomes an
there's
issue.
no spaces
Right.
for my charger.
Right. I mean, it's very rare that I think all the spaces are taken out there, but it does occasionally happen.
And we were thinking is we were going to balance out 4 and 4 on so 4 in the lot here.
Here.
And then four ports, which is 2 duals.
Right. So four
And
spots
then
here,
and then
4 spots
right
there.
next to it on the other side and the upper lot part right next to it because it has to be close to each other to keep the
Okay,
cost
so
down.
farther that way and farther this way.
It would be like right next to each other with the grass in between.
Right.
Yep.
They're gonna be right next to each other, and there's an island in the middle,
Yeah.
and there's a light there.
Right.
So it actually made sense to split them on either side
Yep.
of the light. A, you have illumination. B, you
That
split
makes
them.
sense.
So even if you had a higher usage, you could in essence allocate necessarily 2 or 4 spaces on the one side to, if the board wanted, to dedicate them for 8 to 5 usage or whatever.
And remember, in Garibaldi, we actually have the overnight permits too, so people may want to do that.
Right. That's
use
true. They may plug them in.
Has there been any vandalism with L2 ports anywhere? That's
Not
my,
that I'm familiar with, but I'm.
okay.
I didn't look at- I
I'm
never
just
looked at
inquiring
that.
because
They've
I
had 'em
wanted
for a
to
while
know
at
whether or
Crawford.
not we have
Remember,
a.
we're also all cambered here too.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say we
Police
have a
department's
security
not too far
camera.
away.
We have a security camera on it, right? That's my point.
Everything's cambered
Those will be
here.
added onto our insurance policy as
Yeah.
municipal infrastructure as well. So.
Right, of course, but I'm more concerned with having a camera on it.
Everything's cambered here. Huxley.
Fabulous. Oh, so they know when I pack in.
Yeah, about that we gotta talk. No.
Flowers in the spring, they'll know it.
Oh, yes, okay.
All right.
Great. Thank you
Any other
for doing
questions?
so much hard work on it.
I mean, this sounds. I mean, I know, and I guess I'm not too surprised it's coming through the county. I know the county with its anytime that the county's doing a capital project that involves a parking lot, they're making 10% of their lot. 10% of the spots have to be chargers.
Yep, and they're putting all
And
LTs too.
they're putting them. Yeah, and it's good that they're funding municipalities.
Yeah,
So
they're doing like 50% of the unit cost, I think.
Correct, and then the other is
Yeah.
coming from the rebates.
The other rebates.
the rebates. So, I mean, I think this is a step in the right direction at no cost to the village. So
Yeah,
it's
it's a win-win.
something that's it's a win-win exactly.
Great. Awesome. So when does we move forward on this? When?
We have to sign it. We have to send everything in by Friday.
Okay.
How long it'll take to install, we don't know, because it's all volume. They're doing it for all the municipalities. That's the same deadline for everybody.
Right. Okay.
Right. All right. Any other questions, concerns? All right. Do we have a motion and second? Okay. Thank you.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Fisher?
Yeah.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yes. Thank you. Do I need to sign this before Friday?
Greg will check it. Greg will
All right.
check it.
Okay. Good. Okay.
It's not
If
like
there
a-
is, because my
It's more like an application and intent. I don't think it's not like a formal agreement, big long formal agreement.
gotcha. Okay. Because I was gonna say if I do, then I may have to. You may have to be brought to me at WMLA. 'cause-
We all know how to spell Jason Klein.
right there we go. Right. My signature is easy to forge.
Not a problem.
Here we go. All right. All right. Moving on. Resolution number 3. Considering setting a public hearing for a proposed local law amending Chapter 240 of the Village Code regarding the removal of illegally parked cars in the Garibaldi parking lot and the Ellendale parking lot.
Okay. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees shall hold the public hearing on Tuesday, January 23rd, on the proposed local law amending Chapter 240, authorizing the removal of illegally parked cars in the Garibaldi parking lot and the Ellendale parking lot.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
I feel like, I mean, we're just setting the public hearing.
Yeah,
But
it's these are the permitted spaces, and people are parking in the permitted spaces, and we can't do anything about it because it's not in the street area. It's not.
right, because we don't have a local law.
We don't have a law that they can enforce.
So you can't put one of those signs that said you will be
There will be.
towed if you. Oh,
Well, there will be
wow.
now.
Should we put a sign on there saying you're parked illegally? Have we tried that?
Well, we could.
Or
It
mirror-
was
The police
parking
do,
by.
but in the meantime, people have no place to park.
We can
and
say
we take,
parking
even
by
if we
permit
ticket
only
it,
at night, but we don't have
we have
a
sign
law.
that just says permit parking. We have all the signage up showing that it's permit parking,
We don't have the means to enforce it.
but people are still parking there.
Because they know it's not enforceable.
I don't know if that's why, but or they just pay.
They're really
They'll
smart.
stop parking there once we start towing them.
Yeah, so this came up through the police department. They brought to our attention.
I think that we should be warning these people
we do.
before
We give them
start-
tickets. Or we try to give them tickets. We want to give them tickets. That's what
But
we want
it's-
to do.
But,
But we can't.
This is how we got to this point.
Got it.
Everything we've done has not.
Yeah.
oh, I understand.
Yeah.
So
We're at
it's
last
time.
resort.
Essentially, pretty much.
I got it.
Do we keep track of who they are?
It's really one or two cars.
It's all people in the neighborhood. I mean, it's all people who live right there.
Car there it's covered in snow, so.
Hasn't
Or they
moved.
just park it there and leave it there?
Yeah, so, it's been, covered in snow. They didn't even clean the snow off it. Who even knows the car starts?
Could be abandoned.
They'll be gone.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Other questions, comments?
And before we tow it, we'll actually put a sticker on the window letting them know that in X number of hours this car will be towed. Usually it's
Fabulous. I just want to make
Right.
sure we
Oh, like a big
do.
orange one?
Yeah, if the car's not moving in 48 hours, it'll be towed.
Right.
I love it.
And again, we're just setting the public hearing here.
Got it.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Fisher?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser? Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 4, considering a hold harmless agreement between the Village of Rybrook and Dan Zoo to maintain existing structures in a village drainage easement.
Whereas the Village of Rybrook has an existing drainage easement at 5 Deer Lane. Right, Deer Lane?
Dear Run.
Deer Run. Yeah, I was like, wait, it doesn't sound right. And whereas the
A
existing
few times there. It's
Yeah,
right.
whereas the existing drainage easement at 5 Deer Run has existing structures, including an outdoor barbecue, kitchen, deck steps, koi pod, retaining wall, chain link fence, and stockade fence. And whereas the owner of 5 Deer Run, Dan Zoo, wishes to maintain the existing structures in the drainage easement. And whereas the Village of Rybrook wishes to enter into a hold harmless agreement with Dan Zoo to allow existing structures to remain in the easement while holding harmless and indemnifying the village, its officers, agents, contractors, and employees from and against all claims of liability for loss due to the damage to the premises or any injury or death to any and all persons that may be occasioned by the location. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Rybrook Board of Trustees hereby approves the hold harmless agreement with Dan Zoo of 5 Deer Run to hold harmless and indemnify the village and everybody mentioned before. And be it further resolved that the mayor and administrator are hereby authorized to execute and deliver all documents necessary or appropriate to accomplish the purposes of this resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion second, please?
Second.
So, I mean, I have a lot of questions with this one. Like, so
What happened here?
when did the easement occur, and how were, I mean, I'm assuming that these were built with building permits?
Koi pond and I don't know. Some of it should have been, but I don't know. I'm going to ask Michael to help me out on this one because I don't
Also,
have all the details.
His name is
But
spelled
I can tell you. So
differently
the
in different places.
concept of the license agreements, we do a lot. We've done that over the years. We haven't done them in a while, but we were doing them for a long time. It's usually a fence. It's something
Yeah,
else.
I
It's in it, and
remember
it's in.
it.
And it's basically when they usually are just over the line and they've installed it like off the line and something off the line, and it's into the public right away.
Away from a tree, we've seen it.
It's definitely unusual to see this amount of stuff in
That's why
the
I'm
public
very-
And
property.
it's not like he did this yesterday. It's obviously
Yeah.
been there for like.
So now I'm
years.
punting to Michael, who has more information.
Hey, Michael.
One was built a number of years ago, and there's about a dozen houses in that area. And obviously, there's 2 easements there. There's one for sewer, one for drain line. And this particular applicant, I believe, filed for a building permit for some additional work recently, at which point it was revealed that the impervious coverage numbers were high, and went to go get a variance, and things were revealed that certain things were built, and there's no record of them, and here we are, and certain things are built over the easement, over the sewer easement, like, I believe, koi pond, I think there's a pizza oven, there's a patio area, I mean, a few number of improvements that are not, not
Kosher.
technically supposed to be there, and it poses an issue if something happens and the line's got to get worked on. There's a little bit of an issue, and
There you
that's
go.
what
You
this
need
agreement
access.
aims to help, and this also aims to legalize what is there and the fact that it's over the village's easement. So
And it looks like it's to the back of the property, or the side and the back.
all of this is if you're facing the house to the back left side of the property, if I recall.
Did he know that there was an easement, or did anybody know, or?
Can't answer
Well,
that
clearly it
question.
was built without applying for permits.
Right.
So,
But
was
he's
there
a
any
new
fine
owner.
given out
How long
for
has he
building
lived there?
without
He's a
permits?
new
I
owner.
don't know when the fences were built. Maybe they were done before. I
New
don't know.
owner, so the
You know, if
title
it's very
company
old.
should have found this.
He's a new owner?
I don't believe he's a long-term owner. 5-year
know.
run.
I can't speak on behalf
You
of.
didn't get all this
Of
information,
title.
Michael, go back.
That
Get
was
the
my building
information.
inspector. Had
If
it
you
on my
like,
desk.
so here's the choices. If the board would like more information, like does he have permits on the fencing, then we could put this on the next agenda and get that information for you.
I think it's more than the fencing.
Well, the koi pond wouldn't need a permit, right? The
Ooh, you don't need a permit for a koi pond?
it depends how
Yeah,
big
but
it is.
wouldn't
I
you
guess.
need a permit if when you're adding that much impervious? Don't you? I mean,
We pick it up on an application, right? So you wouldn't make an application for a koi pond. Barbecue depends on how big. I don't. Is this like a big structure?
If anything,
Everything
might
there's
fit in my
impervious. The
backyard,
deck,
I'm-
We
stairs.
don't know if he bought the house like that, or if he
I do
was,
not know.
I mean.
We can get more information if the board would like from the building. That's from the building department. Just
I
everyone
came in
here,
on the
we don't
back
know.
end of this application.
I mean,
Well, we get more information and bring it back because nothing is changing right now.
Sure.
Yeah, nothing's changed. I mean, it's.
It's been there for how long? We can just nothing can't wait
And
another
so
2 weeks.
basically, this is saying so that so just reading into this again, if there's an issue with the drainage and it's on an easement, crew needs to get in there and fix this.
What
Then we
happened?
have the right to move
Then
it.
we basically have
We have the right to tear it up.
to tear it up. Okay,
Correct.
That's what you have to
Okay.
do.
At no expense to the village.
at no expense of the right. Right, that we don't know. We
what
don't
about
owe
the
anything
fish?
for
You
this.
gotta save the fish.
We'll save the fish.
That's for 5-gallon buckets of.
I was gonna say the little baggies that they come.
That'd be a
When
big
everyone's
bag.
seen Nemo,
Would you rather us get the information and bring it back?
what do we think?
I would like more information. I'm also concerned about the precedential value of something like this. Are we setting a precedent, or somebody just builds on the easement, doesn't tell anybody, and then, oh, we'll give you a hold harmless clause?
We've done probably 20 of them over the years, but
yes.
but not this much.
Yeah, not this much. I mean, I remember at least
The fence
4 or
or
5, and they were all.
That had front steps. Remember there was one that was steps coming out that were in there.
The steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, most of them are. You
Oh, I
know,
know.
they moved the
Innocuous.
fence 3 feet this way to avoid ripping up the
That's very
tree, and yeah, that's
is
very
very
different. This is very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we would like a little more
Sure,
information,
he's building
Chris.
a little village here.
Well, I want to know. So the koi like barbecue? Is that what it is? He's made it for them.
Koi barbecue.
Koi- the koi
they
and the
get big
barbecue.
enough, and then
See, serving the
put 'em
koi
in the
barbecue.
pizza oven.
One-stop shopping.
I think we would like a little more information on whether this person bought the house in this condition.
Sure, we'll get more information.
And whether there were permits pulled on any of this, any of this work, because you would think that if they were applying for permits, it would come up that it was in the easement, and there would be some kind of
So,
survey.
This house was just sold on 8/18/23.
There you go.
Oh, in August.
The guy just bought it in August. All right, well, that's.
Would you like the owner to come as well?
No, I mean.
I don't think it's really.
So
I don't think
He
that's
obviously bought it and is going
Well,
to
he
do
bought
work.
it and he has it, so he's inheriting that
The issue.
But he didn't
conformity.
know.
So
Well, no, I
the
think we should
question
find out.
is,
But in that case, it goes
If
back
he
to what you said,
purchased
what's
it,
the
he
title
didn't build
company?
Yeah, that's
Right.
right. He didn't build. If he purchased it, he didn't build it.
what are we gonna
I'll just say if he's available, the board may have additional questions.
His
So.
title company
think-
could be
I
on the
don't-
line.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it just sold in August.
My question for Michael, are koi's good to be barbecued?
No,
My
no.
question for Michael is, how do I get a koi pond?
You apply for a
Wait, are you
permit.
next to your chickens?
Yeah.
Right.
Stephanie, first you have to find the village easement.
Right.
Landscape
start digging.
architect, file for an exterior building permit, electrical permit, and we go from there.
Right. You think? I mean, right. An electrical.
Wait, you need
it's
electricity in there for the?
yeah, for the
Pump
pumps.
to circulate the water and to keep the water.
Got to be
warm.
run out there, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff here
I
that's
wonder
probably
who
not
lived
kosher.
there before.
Yeah.
That's what
and,
we gotta find out. Who lived there before? Who
well,
did
but
all this?
but
work?
you're right. I mean, that when they go to purchase
And
the
didn't
house.
the realtor
company-
know
the
that
title
there was an
company
easement
should've-
there? Like,
I mean,
didn't
you
the
do a
realtor-
This is
survey.
I was
big.
gonna say, if they do a
You do a
survey, they know
survey.
this is not their land.
Yeah, like
Right.
Oh my.
And also just adding to that, just as a background information, I'm just curious when the easement was put in place.
Well, the easement was put in place when the development was
The
built.
development, it's part of the development.
So when the
Because
development
that's
was
the sewer
built.
line. So
Right.
it's not uncommon for older surveys or maps to not necessarily show an easement. I've seen that happen over the years.
this
and is a much
development isn't
newer
that old.
Much newer development, so easements like this should not have
89
been
or
missed.
90.
And
Right.
on the survey it's shown.
Past owners, I don't even know who
But
they
it's,
are.
that's an original easement of the development and subdivision.
Who was the realtor?
We moved here in '89. We built the houses that weren't built yet.
All right. Well. All right. So let's keep this. We'll put this on
okay.
the next meeting. We'll put this
Yeah.
on the next meeting agenda.
Sure.
I think this is a fair. I mean, it's not gonna.
Ask
You
the
know,
homeowner to attend.
I don't think we necessarily. I mean,
I don't think we need the homeowner.
I don't think we
to
need
attend.
the.
No, we need to better
Unless
understand.
the homeowner has questions for
Well,
us.
the reason I'd like the homeowners, I'd like to know what his title company said to him
Oh,
That's what I mean. I think it'd be good to
I
have it.
know
Yeah.
whose house this is.
to sell.
No.
All right, well, we're not going to say it right now. We can talk about this after.
Jason, but
Yes.
I'd like to know if the homeowner, title
Knowingly,
company did anything with him, or if he just
Right.
basically blew off the title company.
Or maybe didn't finance it. Who knows?
But they had to have done a survey.
There would have been a survey.
There had to have been
title
a survey.
there has to be a title report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we say if you're available?
Yeah.
There may be questions,
Or
but if
can
not,
we
it's okay.
can we ask that question of the homeowner? To
Do you have a
find out
title
whether
report?
The title company did a.
Yeah, we'd like
Of
to see
course,
the
we'd like to
survey.
see.
We'd like
You
to
might
see
as
the
well
title.
ask in
You
advance.
could ask him for the title report.
Yeah.
Let's get the title report.
But again, a lot of that'll come from building department also.
I believe their attorney has been in contact with Jennifer Gray from my office, so I can.
Yeah, they've been working together on it.
Yeah, so I can ask Jennifer to see who would be a representative who could come before the
Yeah.
board. Yeah.
Thank you.
And find out if koi's can be barbecued.
No, we don't need to find that out.
They're right there.
That's gross.
It's pricey as Kobe beef.
Right.
If
I
they
don't
end up
think
having
so.
to get rid of their koi, I might be interested.
You don't have a pond. What are you
All
gonna
right,
do
so
with it?
we don't.
Next
we
meeting.
don't- We don't need any action on this. We'll
Table it.
table this till next meeting and see what more information we have. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, moving on to resolution number 5. Considering capital projects, transfer of funds, opening of capital projects, and closing of capital projects.
Now, therefore,
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Now, therefore, be resolved that the project balances remaining in the following MIS capital projects be transferred to the general fund and appropriated to the MIS contractual budget to fund the cost of additional IT support. And this is transfers basically from an IT capital to IT operating. Now, therefore, be resolved that the budget modifications for the capital fund and general fund be hereby approved. And these are transfers, interfund transfers from the general fund to MIS contractuals, just completing the tasks that are above. Be it further resolved, the following capital fund projects be established for fiscal year 23-24. And this is the Ellendale Road drain line replacement. And another one is the NRCS Recovery Buyout Program. We need to establish an account for that program. And be it further resolved that the capital project for the Ellendale Road drain line replacement is funded by reallocation between capital projects as follows. And that's basically taking the drainage improvements on Lincoln Avenue and Law Ridge, the balance there, transferring it to the Ellendale Road drain line replacement so we can do that work. And be it further resolved that the capital project for the NRCS Recovery Buyout is established to assist the village in the tracking and reporting of expenditures as part of the federal grant awarded to the village through the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Natural Resources Conservation Service, and that the expenditure payments are authorized to be advanced through the general fund and or capital fund, which will be reimbursed to the village 100% through this federal award. And be it further resolved, the following capital fund projects with zero remaining balance can be closed and removed from the length schedule. And that's the IT server upgrade, the police desktops and laptop, and the drainage improvement on Lincoln and Law Ridge.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Well, among all of this, it's great that we're now creating this capital fund for the NRCS
Yeah, this is,
project.
yep.
This is
We need an
and-
account to flow the money out of, advance from the general fund, flow it out, and then get it
and
reimbursed
then get it
back into it.
reimbursed, right? And that makes a lot of sense. And this is again, I mean, we've talked about this a lot, a very exciting project, and very soon the appraisals will be going out
This week.
this week. The appraisals will be
Some.
going out, some appraisals, with others to follow to the residents, and hopefully they will be of good value to the residents.
Hopefully it'll be acceptable to everybody and we can move forward.
Right. Any questions or comments on this?
Nope.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Fisher?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 6, considering the establishment of an intermunicipal airport master plan task force.
Whereas in 2024, Westchester County is preparing to complete its community engagement program to finalize the master plan supplement for the Westchester County. Excuse me, for the Westchester County Airport. And whereas although the airport terminal use regulations remain in effect, the terminal use agreement with the airlines are set to expire by the end of 2024. And whereas the Rybrook Airport Advisory Council has established an intermunicipal task, has advised establishing an intermunicipal airport master plan task force to collectively review and comment on any impact of the proposed master plan supplement, and who could advise on any issues or concerns regarding the expiration and renewal of the TUA. And whereas the goals of the proposed intermunicipal task force would be for it to include up to 2 residents selected by each of the local officials and municipalities in close proximity to the airport, who would one, review the airport master plan supplement to seek a draft position paper, and seek to draft a position paper endorsed by the various municipal elected boards to present at the county as part of a public community engagement program on the supplement, and 2, to advise on any issues or concerns regarding the expiration and renewal of the TUA. And whereas the proposed task force would have a limited duration that would end once the county adopts the master plan supplement and the TUA is renewed. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Rybrook Board of Trustees hereby approves the establishment of an airport master plan task force, and be it further resolved that the mayor and administrator are authorized to reach out to municipalities in close proximity to the airport to ask them to appoint up to 2 members of their community to serve on this intermunicipal airport master plan task force.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
I have long said that I believe that the airport has no greater that there's no other community that the airport has a greater effect on than the Village of Rybrook. That we are directly in the flight path for the airport. Part of the airport is in the Village of Rybrook, and everything flows downstream from the airport into Rybrook. And we have houses within a quarter mile of the runway. I think that we have a very vested interest in what happens at Westchester County Airport. And I want to thank everyone who's been involved with our own task force and on the county's task force regarding the airport, including Peter Schlachtis and Trustee Fisher, for going to those meetings. It was recommended to us that we revive this group.
This was something we went to our airport advisory council, and there was a discussion at that. It was a very healthy. It was a really good discussion. I attended the meeting as well, and basically there was a question of, we know that we're impacted, but it's best if we can get more support from others as well. But let's face it, we're going to have more interest than a lot of others. So the thought process was, if we could maybe talk to our neighbors, and some of them have concerns about the airport, the goal and the hope is that other communities, or the elected bodies from the other neighboring communities to the airport, would have similar interest to at least appoint 1 or 2 people to a task force of a very limited duration. very specific task about the master plan, about the TUA. These are big things that could happen for the long term. This is something that, by working together, we think we could collectively have a better voice if there was more people involved than just Rybrook. So this task force would be an intermunicipal one with others in proximity. You know, we think that like Newcastle, Greenwich, even could
Harrison.
participate. Harrison, Mamaroneck, Rice City, Portchester.
Portchester.
They're in the flight path. They have issues there.
Absolutely.
So they also have issues on stormwater and things like that. So these are things that we think that, you know, the goal here would be for the mayor and I to be able to reach out to those communities and try to ask their boards to appoint 1 or 2 members for a limited duration for a very specific task, and then collectively come up with one voice as a group.
Right,
Great idea.
and you know, while we are greatly affected, we are, as Chris said, we're not the only ones affected.
Nope.
And so, you know, this is an opportunity for municipalities to work collectively to review this plan and, like Chris said, come with one voice.
I have a personal request. 3rd paragraph, 1st line, last word.
Establishing an
Last word, 1st line, 3rd paragraph.
Third paragraph, last line.
1st line, last word.
establishing
Hey.
an inter.
You got it.
Can we change in to from?
Yep.
Because it sounds as if the residents have to be in close proximity to the airport, not.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
Greenwich is also affected. Are they part of?
The thought that we talked about that, we thought that would be a good way, because Greenwich doesn't have much of a voice because they're not in the county, but they have a lot of interest
very
and,
much
and
affected by
information.
it.
So the goal is we would reach out to Greenwich as well.
Okay, I want to make sure.
Looks as if
But
the
how does this differ from the current task force?
That's just Rybrook. This would be this would be
But we have a task force, but they go. But I attend these meetings. But to my knowledge, Stephanie, nobody else attends the airport meetings from these other.
just because it's one of our
Rybrook.
boards.
Close proximity. See right here, the word in, I want to change.
It's just like any other board or committee that we have.
Because I remember talking to somebody who lives in Pleasantville, and I know that they're on top of it as well because it affects them.
Which one did he read?
They may have different issues. They wouldn't have like stormwater issues, but
No,
maybe they have
certainly,
they might have
certainly.
flight path issues. or
Right,
something like that.
exactly.
Like Armonk.
Exactly. Okay.
The county does have a board that meets once a month.
Right, doesn't
and that
Peter
board,
Schlack
that
just
board
go
has
to that?
he's on both.
But that's different. That's
That's
like
a county board selected by the
So
county.
we want to
This is
make
an
sure, right,
Yeah.
so would Peter be willing to?
I'm sure he would.
Because he's
My recommendation would be
well-versed.
that the board consider 2 members from our current airport advisory board
Right,
to serve
because they're
in the task
aware of
force.
what's happening.
Yeah.
We'll be first trying, well, this is the establishment of the task force.
Yep,
Got it.
and then the mayor and I will reach out.
And then we have to populate it. So that'll be the next step. So we'll be looking internally who will be representing Rybrook. And then we'll be looking at the other municipalities, asking them to send representatives to likewise populate the task force.
Okay.
And they may not be interested, but we certainly are hoping they will be, because there's an impact here. Yep.
right. Like I feel like we've asked Portchester for involvement before, and they just had like other priorities. They've just been busy.
They have, but you know what? In the past, they talked about forming their own airport
Yes, they
groups.
did. Uh-huh.
But that's why the thought process was
Maybe a
a
joint
limited
one.
duration. A task force tends to have limited duration and very issue driven.
Yes.
Right. Focus specifically on the terminal use agreement
And the
and the
master plan.
master plan.
So the master plan process, we don't know when it's going to pick up again, but it will be this year.
Be fast.
And the TUA, so the TUA, there's 2 different issues the board should be aware of. There's terminal use restrictions and there's terminal use agreement. The terminal use agreement defines things like the 240 passengers per half hour and the 4 gates, the maximum number of gates, and so forth. The county at one point in time, number of years ago, and that's a very important grandfathered agreement.
It's the only
That's
one.
the one that's expiring the end of the year. However, the county a number of years ago adopted by legislation those things in the agreement into their legislation, and that's called the terminal use restrictions. So those mirror a lot of ways the number of gates and the passengers. Which one would supersede the other, whether or not, and the concern is if it's not maintained in the terminal use agreement, that would allow the airlines to challenge the county law
Which would allow the FAA to set limits instead of
and lose the grandfather clause.
That is critical.
critical.
Yes. That's why we're.
And if you remember, that was why we had there
Those
were a
meetings.
series of hearings on this issue years ago, including more than one here in this room.
I remember.
And we had members of the community and members of our boards go to meetings throughout the county on that.
I went to the one.
Went to
I
one-
spoke on behalf of the village at one during the master plan process at Manhattanville College.
Yes, I went
Yeah.
to that one also. I think I
Yes.
saw you there.
And somebody else went to the county center, I think, back then too. There was another one there.
Did someone go to
I
county?
was at a few of them, but I can't remember where I was.
I don't think I went
I
to the
thought it
county
was at
center one.
Manhattanville.
I think we had representatives at every one of the sessions.
Manhattanville, I was at, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions or comments on the establishment of this task force?
No, I'm all for it.
Okay.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Fisher?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. And now we'll get to work on
Yep.
populating it.
Yes.
All right. Resolution number 7, considering the appointment of a chair of the Traffic Commission.
Okay, now therefore be resolved that Michael Barnett of 158 Country Ridge Drive, Rybrook, New York, is hereby appointed as chair of the Rybrook Traffic Commission.
158,
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
153 or 158?
Yes.
Which one?
Yeah, it says one in the backup material and one on the.
We'll correct
well,
it one way or the other.
correct one. It's the correct one.
I'm sorry.
So do you send like a letter
As
out
bad as
to
I.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm usually not that. It's
Yes.
just that I
We'll
wanted
figure it
to
out
know where
tomorrow.
he lives. So
It's
I
on our
looked
board
it up.
list upstairs.
Good question. Well, wait a minute. All right. Well, we thank Mr. Barnett for his service, continued service on the
And Mr.
committee because
Applebaum.
he's been on the Traffic Commission, but also now stepping up as chair.
And thank Mr. Applebaum.
Sanctuary.
And yes, and we
Thank you.
thank Mr. Applebaum for his
Decades.
long
1990
service.
1996, he's served on that commission.
A long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
I think Tina Blank was
Wow.
the chair then.
So
Wow,
nearly
yeah.
30
Is
years.
he
Yeah.
the longest one, I wonder?
I mean, it has to be, right? I
So we
mean,
thank Mr. Applebaum for nearly
Yeah.
30 years of service.
He's been chair for
Chair.
since 2000.
Yeah, I'm
Since
pretty sure
2000.
Tina was the chair then.
Nearly 30 years of service on that
Amazing.
commission and
Yeah.
for everything he's done for the village of Rybrook. And we wish
appreciate
we
it.
wish him well.
And he is having some health issues, so I definitely want to just wish him the best as he deals with that as well.
Get well card.
Yeah.
Of course you did.
I sent him one from everybody too.
Thank you.
But Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Fisher?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 8, considering approval of the minutes for the meeting held on August 15th, 2023.
Now therefore be resolved that the Village of Rybrook Board of Trustees approves the minutes for the meeting held on August 15th, 2023.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
I.
Aye.
All right, administrator's report.
Okay, I just have really one item, which is just to give an update on the NRCS program. So we, as the mayor said earlier, we have 22 eligible properties. The appraisals were done in November. All the appraisals are currently in and pending NRCS review approval. And we've received 6 that are approved to be released so far. So those will be going out tomorrow.
Wow.
So the mayor signed the cover letter tonight, and we'll have the appraisals going out tomorrow, and then residents will have 45 days from the date of the letter to be able to respond to whether or not they're interested in going to the next step.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually,
So
I read
very
that whole
exciting.
thing.
Numbers look strong, and I believe, but we'll find out, how people react to it when they receive them.
Great. Okay.
And we're also, since the appraisals have been submitted, we're also we need to get that account set up so we can get reimbursed right away.
Right.
That's
Yay.
all I have for tonight.
Wonderful.
Short one tonight.
All right. So moving on to a discussion item that I'm very upset to see. Discussion item number 1, an energy audit update.
So, this is something I know that the mayor and the board were really interested in looking to see if we could do an energy study. And so we've been reaching out with the group INF, who's doing the work with the county. And they said they do energy studies, so we just try to get proposals from them. And to be honest, looking at the proposals, we got proposals for the highway garage, village hall, the senior center, the firehouse, and the prices I thought were just very, very high. $26,000. That's for, 26,800. Just the village hall would be 14,800. We started looking at that. If you can do anything, we'd suggest looking at that one. But in good conscience, we don't recommend. Given we think we're doing a pretty good job. I'm sure we could do more, but our highway garage is pretty much brand new. The senior center, Michael's done a lot of work and upgraded a lot of our infrastructure there. Firehouse is a big building. It'd be that's an expensive one, and Village Hall, does get a lot of usage. So if you can do anything, it would be Village Hall. But I just thought recovering the 14,800 would be a lot to recover again, and take a number of years, I would think. But if the board really wanted to proceed, we could. That's a proposal we have. We could also get other prices if we wanted. These are things that used to be done for free by the utility companies.
Yeah, why aren't they doing it for us?
The utility companies aren't doing it anymore.
They're too busy raising.
Yeah, NYSERDA, others, they just said no.
I saw.
You think I'm nitpicking, huh?
No, we think it'd be great.
He does.
Yeah, I agree.
We think it would be great, but not at $14,800.
Yeah, and to me, I guess I wasn't thinking necessarily about recovering the cost as much as making, trying to do as much as we possibly can.
I think about recovering costs.
I know you do, and that's why we have a clean audit every year, and that's why we're doing so well financially as a village.
What's going on?
But I also think, Michael Nowak does a great job when he's replacing equipment, trying to balance cost with better energy efficiencies. We've changed the lighting in the building. We do have shut-offs in the building and for all the lighting. Could we do more? 100%. I'm sure we could. But
Right.
Is it worth the investment at this point in time? That's something that I'll leave up to the policymakers.
All right, fine.
Yeah, so we put this on
Any
as a
other questions
discussion.
or comments? I had asked for this one.
Well, I think the idea of an energy audit is a very lovely idea in theory, but if there is no economic recovery from it, we're basically just wasting our time then.
Well, not time, money.
Well-
We're wasting our money and our time.
Okay, so so I understand you want to find out if there's ways we can reduce our costs. Is that the whole point of an energy audit?
Not necessarily costs. Our energy usage or waste are,
So I guess the one thing, we don't need an audit company to tell us to change everything to LED bulbs. We don't need to know to turn down thermostats at night. I know that in my house, I keep it cold to save. That is, and for the Con Edison would tell you immediately, you reduce your cost substantially for every degree that you reduce it. Are we doing these things? The simple things that we know we should be using. Are we turning off monitors at night? Are we turning off our computers? Things like that. Is that really what the whole goal?
I think we're, also insulation and whether we're getting leak from the buildings.
Sometimes they'll say, there's boilers that have timers and other systems downstairs that they recommend, but unless you're upgrading them, you're not going to be doing some of that work.
I must tell you.
No.
No,
I said
no.
you think I'm being nitpicky.
I'm not being nitpicky.
Michael,
I'm just.
Before you speak, I must tell you, I looked at my last bill, which I just received 2 days ago. 67% of my bill was delivery charges, not usage. So therefore, I could make all sorts of time and money-saving accommodations, but I could only affect 33% of my bill. 67%
So let's take that
Wonderful.
one step further. Of that 33%, the village's rate is much cheaper than your 33%. So we're probably at 15%. I mean,
we have
these are
NYPA.
all hypothetical numbers, but our fuel rates from Con Edison versus our electricity rates from NIPA are even lower than what the public is paying, so our rates are much lower. So to recoup that $14,000,
Would take longer.
that's 10, 12 years worth of fuel necessarily to recuperate, and that might be exaggerating, but in all fairness, let's take a step back at the Village Hall. All our thermostats are day-night setback thermostats. Done. All our lights in the building are LED. Done. Our boiler is 97% efficient lock and VAR. It's 10 to 1 turn down ratio. AJP has the same system, 10 to 1 turn down ratio, 98% efficient. Air handlers were replaced 6 years ago. Those we weren't able to do as efficient, but we went slightly better than contractor grade. So unless you want to shell out $250,000 to recoup $14,000, I'll gamble. But you know, so you know, how much more can we do? Yes, there's places to look at. Maybe windows, maybe doors, things like that. Are there additional controls that we could throw into a building to automate the HVAC system? You're running into now messing around with the culture in the building. And what do I mean by culture? For 10 years prior to me coming here, I worked with a mechanical engineering firm. So I designed heating, plumbing, air conditioning systems. Culture is the environment that people work in. And that 1 or 2 degrees cost savings makes a big difference in the workplace. Certain people don't like it cold. Certain people love it freezing. Certain people can't find a happy medium. So you start to disrupt some of that in the workplace to save 2 degrees on a thermostat. It's doable, don't get me wrong. I mean, you as a board tell us what to do, 100%. But just, you know, can we do things? Yes. But when we all three of us saw 26,000, we kind of laughed, like, what? And then when we saw 14,000, we
We're surprised
laughed
at that,
even harder
too.
because we were like, wow, you know. So maybe we could look at other proposals, maybe from other companies,
Yeah.
and see maybe we could get something a little more reasonable than 14,000.
There's also the cameras where they look to see if you have heat.
Infrared.
Right.
Right, infrared cameras. That could be as simple as that.
We have one.
We have it?
We do.
Well, why don't we employ it?
Ooh, can I borrow it?
Could I borrow?
I'm sorry, but that's not possible.
Yeah, that's not really.
It's
Not
village
allowed.
equipment, not allowed. Not for personal use.
Right.
So
Well, I won't ask you to keep
There's
Village
definitely
Hall
other-
at the temperature David keeps his house at.
My house is probably warmer than Susan's.
Mine is very cold.
Okay, well, I won't ask
You could,
anybody
I
that's worked
forced
in
my
an
kids to
office, I'm
move.
sure is familiar with the arguments about too hot, too cold.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Too hot to
And we're
hold
no
up.
different.
I'm
I mean,
so
And
hot
space
right now.
heaters are dangerous.
Yeah.
We could explore another RFP.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
No.
it is a comprehensive. We have had energy audits of our buildings, but it was like 20
Right.
years ago.
Right.
So it's, you know, it would have been great to do it again, but do we want to put the cost into it right now?
Right.
No, especially
Understood.
since we have affected wonderful change for cost savings. The truth is that costs haven't increased so exponentially, even if you get a great rate.
I mean, listen, it's just as easy to turn around an RFP. It doesn't
Yeah.
hurt. I mean, online, so it's not. It's I mean, a couple hours worth of work just to update and send it out. So
Yeah.
Right.
let's
We
see what
have a
happens.
scope
It
of
can't
work,
hurt.
so.
All right.
If
We
we get a
could.
more reasonable number, then we could bring it
Yeah.
back.
All right.
If
So if you
Village
want
Hall-
to update it,
we
send
thought
it out, that's fine.
Because we were hoping Village Hall wouldn't come in at that price. When
Yeah.
when we saw the big price, we were like, well, but we focus on Village Hall because
Right.
also we're 24/7 and downstairs, and so it made sense. But
Right.
we were surprised when we saw 14.8.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right. Any questions or comments from the public?
I should mention too, all the projects at AJP now are currently done. We have another one coming up
Oh.
starting, but like the walkways and the boiler, right? Is
Boiler's done.
boiler's done, the walkway's done.
The-
We're
Great.
done. We got final inspection tomorrow. HVAC upgrades, we're exploring additional monies from
Yep.
the state.
We've requested more money from CDBG.
And that'll be a little bit more efficient than what's there.
And the walkways all done with new lighting, new roof on it, everything.
Wonderful.
Great.
And I did see that we got the money from the grant.
Got 2 more grants, yeah.
So congratulations. I do keep my eye on it. I meant to send you a text.
Yep.
But I also saw
Yeah,
that we
that was
lost
great.
one
We
because
did,
we
yeah.
did not,
Well, that was really because we don't. That's because the right of way doesn't extend far enough. So it's
Right.
and we can't do it. We can't apply
that was
these
a big
funds to
one.
private
I
property.
know, that was
and
too
that's
bad.
one that we really
Yeah.
want.
We're gonna
and
regroup on that one and have maybe we'll do a design grant to see
Yeah.
what options we can work with.
Okay,
But we couldn't do it with the construction because you're not allowed to do it on private property.
Right.
got it. Right.
So
I'm just letting you know.
We
I'm
don't give
watching.
up on it. We just take a step back and regroup.
So I pay attention. I'm just letting you know.
Good.
Thank you.
All right.
Actually, the other one on Avon is that's really good because then now we're able to do that benefit cost ratio and have
Right.
somebody really try to force that down so that we can get the money that is available, but you
to
need
add
to
to
show
the
the
county
one-to-one.
funds that have already been
Exactly. That would be
approved.
a huge win if that
great.
works out.
That would be huge for
And
everyone
by the way,
downstream.
no
of that,
contributions on either one of those. Those are 100% paid for. So
which would be
You have
great.
very nice paper.
yeah.
I have crappier paper than
All right, seeing no comments. The next meetings of the Board of Trustees are January 24th and,
third.
sorry, you're right, 23rd. That's 2 weeks. Today's the 9th. January 23rd, and I'm going to guess that the 13th is correct. I didn't look.
It is right.
All right, February 13th.
The second and fourth
The
of
second and
each
fourth
month.
Tuesdays of each month, except for August and December. So,
And last year was on Valentine's Day. This year it's not.
yeah, that's right, it's not. All right, and thank you all, and have a good night.
You
And
too.
everyone, please stay safe tonight.
Greg,
Stay
how
safe
long you gonna
tonight.
be out?
What's that like equipment called? that
Oh, you're going on vacation?
Get something